Hello, I'm here to introduce you to the Cloud Security Alliance Cloud Controls Matrix to assist you in making sure you follow good security practices for your cloud service implementations. Today, we're going to be looking at change control and configuration management. I should introduce myself. My name's Jeff Bird. I head up information security for the Mount Street Group, a group of loan servicing companies. And I'm joined today by Johan Olivier.
Hi, good day, everyone. My name is Johan Olivier, and I'm the Security and Compliance Director at Chorus Docs.
So what we're going to look at today, we're going to look at the Cloud Controls Matrix version 4, a quick overview of that, change control and configuration management, the CCC controls, the shared security and responsibility model. Let me just pause for a second. I'll start that one again, if that's okay. Unfortunately, my laptop was in front of the screen, so I couldn't read what was on the agenda. So 3, 2, 1. Let's have a look at see what's on the agenda today. We have Cloud Controls Matrix version 4. We'll give a quick overview of that. The change control and configuration management controls, and the cloud service provider and cloud service customer shared security responsibility model, and the security implementation best practices. So if we go forward with that, the first bit being the Cloud Controls Matrix version 4.
Yes, so let's take a quick look at what the Cloud Control Matrix is. The Cloud Control Matrix represents an extensive framework of cybersecurity controls developed through the collaborative efforts of cloud service providers, customers, and experts in assurance. It stands aligned with global regulations, and it integrates seamlessly with most pertinent security frameworks. By clarifying the security obligations through the shared security responsibility model, it delineates the roles of cloud service providers and customers. Moreover, it tailors service deliveries across applicability platforms such as software as a service, platform as a service, and infrastructure as a service for each control. The Security Trust, Assurance, and Risk Program, also known as CSA STAR, provides publicly accessible registry documenting the security and privacy controls of cloud computing offerings. The program is designed to encourage transparency between cloud service providers and their customers, and at the foundation of this program is the Cloud Control Matrix. Jeff, what are your views on how organizations can leverage the CCM?
Well, good question, Jan. The best thing is that it allows top management to be assured that by following the CSA CCM controls, that they are identifying and managing risks around cloud service use, and ensuring that by following the implementation guidance, they're actually following best practice at this time.
Okay, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a simple assurance for top management who don't need to know all the controls. They just need to know that the implementers and the people controlling the implementation have studied best practice and actually implemented it.
Yes. And you know, Jeff, the Cloud Control Matrix, if you go to the next slide, we'll see it offers a full set of tools to the industry to make sure that the best security practices are applied. For instance, we can look at the Cloud Control Matrix implementation guidelines, which is designed to help organizations effectively implement the controls specified in the CCM. These guidelines provide detailed recommendations and a structured guidance for each control, and that ensures that both cloud service providers and customers can navigate and apply these controls effectively. The Cloud Control Matrix Shared Security Responsibility Model is a framework within the CCM that clarifies the division of service and security responsibilities between the cloud service provider and the cloud service customer. The model is crucial for ensuring that both parties understand their role in securing cloud environments, thereby reducing the risk of security breaches due to misunderstandings and miscommunications. And then lastly, we also have the Consensus Assessment Initiative questionnaire, which is also known as the CCM KIKE. It is a tool that is provided by the Cloud Security Alliance and that is closely aligned with the CCM to help organizations assess the security posture of cloud service providers. So this, along with all the other tools that the CSA offers, really benefits the industry. But today, I think we're going to focus on the CCC domain controls. And Jeff, why don't you tell us a bit more about the details of these controls, please?
Yeah, sure, love to. Absolutely love to. So there are 9 controls within the CCC controls. The 9 controls include the very straightforward and easy to implement suggestions and controls. So we've got change management policy and procedures, making sure people know what it is they need to be doing, and make sure education is far and wide. Everyone knows the same thing. Quality testing, make sure you've tested the change before you release it. Vital, absolutely vital. Change management technology is around the risk of the risk of change to the systems. It needs to be assessed prior to any changes being undertaken. I'll go to the next slide to show exactly the controls in their full form. So, as I mentioned, the change management policy procedures, quality testing, change management technology, unauthorized change protection. Make sure that only the people who are authorized to make changes can, and that they only make the changes that are authorized. It's a very straightforward thing, but unauthorized change can result in system downtime and has been the cause of many a mishap. So change agreements between the cloud service provider and the cloud service customer, there has to be an agreement as to what changes is going to happen and when, so that businesses aren't surprised by changes that may happen to their environment outside their control. You need to make sure there are change management baselines in place to make sure the configurations meet acceptable standards, and that the configurations have been approved prior to being changed into a state. You also need then detection of baseline deviation to make sure you know when those changes have varied from what you were expecting. It needs to be controlled. The biggest part of change management is exactly the management of change. It's about control. Now, being a real world, things happen outside expectations. So you need exception management for that. Emergency changes, sudden agile response to a changed situation will likely need a managed change that can't be booked days in advance. It needs to be done on the spot as fast as possible. So that's why there's an exception management process. And the last piece of this is change restoration. What happens if a change fails and you need to roll back to the state it was in before you made the change to continue service? That does happen in the real world. We have some examples of that. Without going into any detail right now, it is imperative that you can always move back to the last good state for systems where you're making changes. Now, there is the shared security responsibility model. This is an important distinction. It's the who does what. So cloud service providers typically look at the underlying infrastructure and operating systems up to the application layer. I say typically, there may be some variance, but typically the cloud service customers would be designing the application configuration and implementation of that. Again, it's the same things that are needed. Baselines need to be established, risk assessments need to be undertaken, authorization for the change needs to happen, and the customer needs to know, the cloud service customer needs to know before the change happens, so that their business isn't adversely affected by any change that suddenly happens. So that's a fairly straightforward explanation of the controls. The things you need to do as far as best practice for the implementation is as referenced earlier, but you need to make sure you've got a change control board who are authorized and suitably skilled to be change provers. You need to have your policies, procedures, the risk assessment, as referenced. The baselines need to be established prior to starting production systems, and you need to make sure that you can spot when those baselines go away from what you're expecting. And as I referenced earlier, the exception management, and then the notification of changes that are going to happen to your environment before they happen. The shared security responsibilities is a really great way of taking out assumption from the equation, because many cases of unmanaged change and system downtime, assumption was the issue. I thought you were doing it, you thought I was doing it, nobody did it. So that's that side of things. Um, the high risk of business interruption through unmanaged change, as I just mentioned, you could introduce vulnerabilities, system defects could affect performance, access control issues, resulting in unauthorized change from people who weren't on the change board, poor configuration resulting in service degradation. And as a reference, the lack of rollback planning. This is something that can easily affect organizations if the quality testing hasn't been appropriately conducted. And the lack of authorization can result in a business being unprepared. A change happens, they weren't expected, the service isn't ready for it, system downtime as a result. So all these things are allayed if you follow this control system.
Absolutely, Jeff. Yeah, so if we look at risk mitigation, as with anything in life, to mitigate risk, we need control. We need to identify and understand the variables, and we rely on knowledge, skill, and experience, and a coordinated plan to react and regain control if things go wrong. I love the way that you put it in terms of, I thought you were doing something and someone else thought I was doing something, and things fell through the
Yeah,
cracks. And
yeah,
that's actually where the attacks happen and where
yeah.
things go wrong. So let's take this hypothetical scenario of wanting to host a kiddies party, a kiddies birthday party as example, and there'll be little children and toddlers running around. And there's a swimming pool that's not covered, and it's actually it could be a dangerous situation, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't have a kiddies party. So let's balance what we need to achieve, in this case, having a lot of fun and being cautious. It's something that's not that difficult to get right. And what we'll do is we'll first just acknowledge the environment. We will discuss and agree and communicate how we will get the job done and eliminate the element of surprise. The who, what, when, how, etc. Just have open, honest discussions about those things and make sure everyone's on the same page. And the CCM gives us two controls to help with that. These are change agreements and unauthorized change protection, to make sure that we know who's gonna apply these changes. Then we need to proceed from a stable, trusted, reliable source and use the right tools. At the kiddies party, we will keep an eye on the environment. We'll make sure we can trust one another. And the same with in a SaaS solution, in the context of what we're talking about today, we need to make sure we've got quality testing procedures and we have the right change management technology in place. We need to create a reference point. We need a baseline. We need to know what the safe environment looks like. We need to know when things are under control, or maybe be notified when things are out of control or when there's a risk or things goes wrong. So we need change management procedures. For that, we have CCC06. And then, of course, like I said, we need to be notified when things go wrong. We need to be aware of deviations of a stable environment. So we need a detection capabilities, and for that, we have CCC07. But the most important, or one of the most important elements of this is we need to react appropriately and as quickly as possible regain control and then rectify the situation. So I would even go as far to say, if a child falls into the swimming pool and he or she can't swim, if you respond quick enough, you grab the child, you bring him or her to safety, you regain control. And the same in the world of information technology and SaaS solutions, cloud offerings. As soon as we notice there's deviation and there's exception, we manage it. We have a procedure to respond. And for that, we have the CCC08 control and we have change restoration controls. And then, of course, all of this need to be communicated to everyone. The planning, execution, how to respond if things goes wrong, the responsibilities and the ownership. And for that, we have change management policy and procedures. So, a kiddies party is a very simple example, but there are real risks. It's the most basic form of illustrating to you that we can go ahead, we can have a lot of fun, we can be productive. And that's exactly what the CCM gives us, the ability to simplify things, break it down into smaller controls, and stay in control of a potential risky situation and environment. Over to you, Jeff.
Fully agree. Absolutely, fully agree. It's not about not doing it. It's about doing it, but doing it in a controlled manner, making it safe. Everyone wants a party. It sounds like a good plan. Your swimming party sounds like great fun. I just hope there was ice cream and cake. But there we are.
That's the fun part. Celebrations afterwards, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So in conclusion, from my side, I just think cloud service providers as well as the cloud service customers need to be proactive. Don't make assumptions and don't assume the other entity will have everything under control. Make sure you delineate and understand the impact of and take ownership of these responsibilities. Clarify, communicate, set up agreements, make sure you understand who is responsible for which areas and implement these controls. Leverage the CCM controls. Look at the implementation guidelines, which is available for free, and test your own environment and your own posture, and make sure you refine and improve and refine and improve, and the benefits, you will reap the benefits of investing into this area. What do you think, Jeff?
Definitely, completely agree. The great thing about the CSA, CCM controls, especially the change management controls, are they're straightforward. None of this should be difficult. It just requires planning and understanding and educating people. None of this should cause problem. And in fact, it's a great way of alleviating problems that mostly are self-inflicted. So I cannot rate it highly enough. So the cloud control matrix we've referenced, if anyone is interested in getting more information around this, there is the Cloud Controls Matrix Working Group. And the one thing I will say is that we as people working within the working group are very, very keen to help. The best thing about the CSA is it's a really helpful organization. That everyone working within it and helping it are keen on cloud best practice and how to implement safely and securely. So if you need to know more about it, there are some email addresses and websites to look at to give more information. Johan, I don't know if there's any more you'd like to mention about that.
No, well, I can just say by joining the Cloud Control Matrix Working Group, you rub shoulders with industry experts from different industries and in different domains with different job responsibilities. So you get different perspectives on the same problems or the same challenges that we all face. And it's very valuable. So I encourage you to get involved. And I want to thank you for, that's how Jeff and I met. And
we have the same problems. We have the same problems, which is a great thing.
Yes.
Well, not
so
great,
get involved, join us, reach out, and thank you for your time. Thank you for watching this this video, and I hope it was valuable.
Thank you.